about a personality change sufficient enough for me to recover from alcoholism. All of us can have that experience if we take the steps. Page 59 says, here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery. The program of recovery is found in the first portion of this book, the big book. It ain't found in the fellowship where you get these mainline big time speakers. They get up there and it's all about them. Never telling you about it took something greater than them to solve their problem. They were praising their sales. And you know what it did to me for over 3 decades? I left the meeting and drank again. But since I was 12 steps through this program, the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, not page 1 through 164. That's not the whole program. The program starts on the very title page, right in the front of our big books. Anybody care to go there? Read it out. It says the story of, it says Alcoholics Anonymous, the story of how many thousands of men and women have recovered from alcoholism. This is the first hope found in the book, and it's a promise. We can recover from alcoholism. I hear people in these meetings, these mainline punch speakers say, I'm constantly recovering. I can't never recover. Well, that's the lie detector determined that is a lie. We do recover from alcoholism, provided we take 12 steps. That's what it took for me. I couldn't recover from alcoholism listening to all this bull junk in the fellowship. Well, Kim, do 90 meetings in 90 days like this gonna solve my darn problem. Shoot, I didn't know what the problem was at first. But see, the program, it shows us the problem, it shows us the solution, and it gives us the course of action. And if we do these things properly, the course of action, we do recover from alcoholism. And I'm gonna bring some of them beautiful points out. People still want to argue with me today, especially on the Facebook group, the Recovered Alcoholics group. We got people still saying, I'm recovering, we never recover, but they apparently you ain't read the big book. You ain't took the 12 steps. That's the purpose of this book. It enables us to find a power greater than ourselves, which will solve your problem. So if something is solved, if an illness is solved, why are we still recovering? No, we don't recover from it. Now, let me share this with you. I had hip surgery over 3 weeks ago, right? I'm recovering from that, right? But you know what? I got a darn new hip. So when I go through the process of recovering, I'm going to be recovered. I'm going to be a normal person again one day on the right side. Something I ain't had in a long time. So I want 6 months from now, I shouldn't be able to sit here and say, I'm recovering from hip surgery still. No, I've been unrecovered from it, right? No doubt about it. So here, and these promises, they start in step 1. So, you know what? In my darn drinking career, right? I lived the step 1 promise every single day for 40 years. I tell myself, I ain't finna drink today. Next thing you know, bam, drink. So the problem with step 1 is I didn't have a solution, right? I didn't have a power greater than me. I thought I had all power, all knowledge, all wisdom, but I drank again. So the promise of step 1 is relapse. We're going to drink again without the solution. If you're an alcoholic as I was, it took these 12 steps. Because good Lord, I tried every other means, ways necessary, every way possible was at my disposal, and it didn't solve my alcohol problem. So when it comes to Alcoholics Anonymous, it's all about the promises that we can experience through the program of action. And I say experience, we must experience certain things in order for us to recover from alcoholism. And in the book, not all of them are stated directly, but through thorough study of the book. See, I study my book like a textbook. I study my Bible like a textbook. Same thing. I'm a Bible believer, and I believe in Alcoholics Anonymous program of action. So, and these promises, they exist at each stage, through each step. So the first promise, I want to share this. I just shared something about step 1. See, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives were unmanageable. They had become unmanageable, right? So if I'm powerless over this alcohol, shoot, I'm gonna drink again. Some got power over me. Shoot, shit, I'm finna drink again. I made many promises to friends, family, co-workers, supervisors, and all this shit to the U.S. military. I ain't drinking no more. That was a promise, right? Shoot, same day, here I am, tore all up again, cussing people out, destroying the buildings and everything else. I did that for years, meant relapse. So it's okay. In my experience, and even in Bill Wilson's experience, I'm gonna get to something in Bill's story here in a minute as well. It's okay to admit we powerless over this thing. For me, it took complete defeat after 40 years of drinking. Alcoholism beat me into a state of reasonableness. Well, Kim, you can't do this stuff by yourself. It beat me down. I became miserable. At the end, the last 10 years of my drinking, it was not the same as the first 30 years. Totally different person. I used to be a happy drunk, but then it came to the point to where I couldn't live with this stuff and I couldn't live without it. I had to have it at all costs. It didn't matter who got in my way. They was going to be knocked out of the way. No job didn't matter, which I kept a job. I simply drank on my job because if I had to go to work for 12 hours, I couldn't go 12 hours without a drink, man. I was powerless over this stuff. So I seen, I tried AA. I was ordered back to AA a long time ago, back in 1983. But I never stuck with it because I ain't want to hear it. Shoot, y'all ain't telling me nothing. Y'all ain't helping me in my drinking. Y'all gonna supply me for my liquor cabinet run low? That's what I used to think Alcoholics Anonymous was. I've got these people sitting in these meetings. Well, how much do you need to stock your liquor cabinet up? See, that was my thoughts. Went to that first meeting. Me and my platoon sergeant left, and we went and got drunk after he taken me to my first AA meeting I was ordered to go to. So, now everybody don't hit rock bottom, right? No, we all don't hit no rock bottom. But I was beyond rock bottom. I was under the rock that was under another rock, right? A big old rock that I couldn't move. Trap. Let's just say trap. So, but we try to look for something better and we try to experience something better, right? So, but we can't do it without a power greater than ourselves. And I didn't realize that till I seen what alcohol had beat me down so bad, I couldn't live, I couldn't think unless I drank. I wouldn't even go out the darn house unless I was drinking. And then when I went out the house, I had to go straight to the liquor store before I faced life, before I faced people, before I faced my own feeling. I had to have a drink. A little bit more about some of the promises that we deal with in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. I shared the main one, the story of, on the very title page. See, these mainline punchline speakers giving me this Burger King sobriety. They never opened the book and showed me this very first page and explained it to me. This program presents a story. That's why it says the story of how many thousands of men and women have recovered from alcoholism. So they're going to present me a story. And in this story, they're going to present to me what my problem is or what our problem is, what the solution is, and what the course of action is. Here, on page XIII, Dan, I want you to share this promise with them. Where it says, forward to the first edition, we start at We of Alcoholics Anonymous. And you can stop where it says, our way of living has advantages for us all.
Yeah,
so yeah. Good deal.
That's cool. XIII, if you're on edition 4, everybody, forward to the first edition. We of Alcoholics Anonymous are more than 100 men and women who have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. To show other alcoholics precisely how we have recovered is the main purpose of this book. For them, we hope these pages will prove so convincingly that no further authentication will be necessary. We think this account of our experiences will help everyone to better understand the alcoholic. Many do not comprehend that the alcoholic is a very sick person. And besides, we are sure that our way of living has its advantages for all.
Okay, thank you, Brother Dan. Here is a promise. We of Alcoholics Anonymous are more than 100 men and women who have recovered from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. So, in the fellowship, they said the only thing you recover from is a hopeless state of mind and body. No, fool, we recover from alcoholism, period. Because we take this 12 step, we exhibit a spiritual experience or a psychic change, and the big book promises the problem has been removed, right? So we don't have to argue with these people because they don't know what they're talking about. It's right in the book, right here on page XIII. And then it goes on to say, to show other alcoholics precisely how we have recovered. 100 men and women agreed. This is how we recover from alcoholism. It don't say to show other alcoholics halfway how we still recover from alcoholism the rest of our lives. We are still recovering. I'm 30 years sober, right? And I'm still recovering. Well, something's wrong with you, man. The book already gives us a promise right in the beginning of the book. We have recovered. And that's the main purpose of this book. This book gonna tell us again the problem. It's gonna tell us the solution. It's gonna tell us the course of action. So we look at the story of how many thousands of men and women have recovered from alcoholism. So we follow the story precisely, exactly, just how they did it. See, they got all the experiences and they put them together and they all agreed. Why should I argue that fact? If 100 alcoholics can agree on something, it must work. If they conclude it, it's got to work, man. Because everything we alcoholics try, in my experience, it didn't work. With my experience through taking the steps of this big book that's outlined in the program of action, it worked. My alcohol problem was removed. So I ain't sitting here, and I'm not going to tell you no lie. I ain't sitting here recovering from my alcoholism. The problem is gone. I deal with my human condition because I'm a human being. I was human before I ever took a drink. I had problems before I ever took a drink. But I used them problems to make excuses to drink when I became alcoholic. And the Lord knows, I didn't realize I was alcoholic. I just thought I was one of these drinkers. I said, man, I can outdrink the biggest alcoholic in the world. And I challenged many, many people in my drinking career, even the old drunks that I grew up with in this town. I'd outdrank them, and they've been drinking 30, 40 years as a teenager before I went in the military. Shoot, I said, I got you. I put you down. I got to where I drank a pint without even turning up full till the bottle was empty. 17 years old. Shoot, I didn't know that was being a trait of me becoming an alcoholic. Shoot, I drink that and shake it off and keep on rolling. So, back to the reading. It says, for them, we hope these pages will prove so convincing that no further authentication will be necessary. So this big book that we hold in our hands, in our possession, is going to contain everything that we need to get sober and to stay sober, and how we help other alcoholics and other human beings. It gives us connection to God, or which, if you want to call it a power greater than yourself, or whatever name you want to call it, spirit of the universe, Allah, Buddha, what is that, her name, Mary, and all that crap. That's your, I don't have that experience. I got an experience with the God of the universe, but I don't force nobody in my meetings. I don't press nobody to follow my God, whatever your conception of God is. And I hope it's with a living God, because my God is alive and well and takes care of me every day. So it goes on to say, this is kind of our experiences. See, they take their experiences. We go through the steps. If we can gain the same experience that they're presenting to us, we can get the same results that they got. The same results, no doubt. So then I want to fast forward here to another promise. And this promise, Brother Dan, is found in the doctor's opinion. Matter of fact, on page, let me give you the page number. It says, on the other hand, yeah, page XXIX. This is another promise. On the other hand, as strange as this may seem, that little short paragraph.
Yeah, sorry. XXIX. First paragraph.
Now come down to where it says, the first full paragraph where it says, on the other hand.
Yeah, shall I read the whole paragraph? Yeah.
Just read stop at a few simple rules and we'll go from there.
Yeah. It's XXIX, everybody. On the other hand, and strange as this may seem to those who do not understand, once a psychic change has occurred, the very same person who seemed doomed, who had so many problems he despaired of ever solving them, suddenly finds himself easily able to control his desire for alcohol, the only effort necessary being that required to follow a few simple rules.
Okay, thank you, Brother Dan. Notice the words. Suddenly finds himself easily able to control his desire for alcohol. This is a promise. We follow a few simple rules. We realize at some point, I ain't drinking alcohol. I don't need to drink this stuff no more. But it's acquired through having the experience that they're teaching us about. See, before, if we go down to the doctor's opinion on the previous page, at the bottom of the page, it says, men and women drink, we drink essentially because we like the effects produced by alcohol, right? So we tried, when we start experiencing the ease and comfort we get by taking a few drinks, and then when we develop an allergy to this alcohol, it means our body start demanding more when we develop this allergy. And in my experience, I'm like Brother Tony used to tell me, and he said in the meetings all the time, any of us get thirsty as we drink. Yes, I know I did. The more I drank, the bigger the bottles got during the night. I start off at a pint, but then for the night over, I got to have a big old bottle, the biggest one I could find. And this happened every time I drank. My body was crying for more. My mental state of mind, I couldn't shut it off once I started. But then I'm going to relate this promise again. Suddenly finds himself easily able to control his desire for alcohol. So in our drinking careers, it says this is repeated over and over. Unless this person can experience an entire psychic change, there's very little hope of his recovery. Solution. Psychic change, right? That's the same thing as a spiritual experience. And it's sufficient enough for us to recover from alcoholism. No doubt about it. Now, Brother Dan, we're going to go to page 17, everybody. I got another promise I'd like to share.
Yeah.
Page 17. Okay. First paragraph.
Yeah. We are average Americans.
We are, there's a solution on page 17. We'll start at the top paragraph.
Sorry, Bigman.
Yeah.
Top of the page of 17, please, everybody. There is a solution. We of Alcoholics Anonymous know thousands of men and women who were once just as hopeless as Bill. Nearly all have recovered. They have solved the drink problem.
Yes, no doubt. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
Here it is, people. The promise. Nearly all have recovered. They have solved the drink problem, right? So if the drink problem has been solved, am I still recovering? No, sir, I have recovered. Followed a few simple rules. But then I'm going to relate to what this book goes on to share. Here's another promise. But there exists among us a fellowship of friendliness. And now here's the promise coming up. An understanding which is indescribably wonderful. Wow, that's a promise. Here's another one. The feeling of having shared in a common peril is one element in the powerful cement which binds us. The tremendous fact for every one of us is that, and I'll stop right there. These next few words is a promise that I'm finna share. And it says, we have discovered a common solution. We follow these rules, we discovered a common solution. We all have a common problem, and we all have a common solution. The solution is in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. So it goes on to relate the rest of this promise. We have a way out on which we can absolutely agree. 100 men and women agree to this, right? Bam. And upon which we can join in brotherly and harmonious action. This is the great news this book carries to those who suffer from alcoholism. But he promises is really real, ain't it? And you know what? It's amazing when the people around you see the promises coming true in us before we do. Pretty amazing stuff. Page 25. I want to share here on page 25. Here's a big old promise right here. And it's in italics. If we go to page 25, at the top of the page, well, 1, 2, 3, the fourth, the fifth sentence. Here's
there
a
is
great
solution.
Yeah, there it is, Brother Dan. That is a promise. We got a solution. No doubt. A little bit more on page 25. Here's the promise. But we saw that it really worked in others. Well, the solution is working in other people, right? It can work for me too. And we had come to believe in the hopelessness and futility of life as we had been living it. Man, we see this thing working. I remember when I first come to Keystone Group, quite several years ago now. I seen how Brother Rob was. I seen how Tony and Joe and these people were. I said, shoot. I remember the first night I seen Tony, and he called on me to talk. He let me talk for a while, then he shut me down. He explained the problem, the solution, and the course of action. I since recovered from alcoholism by listening at the very words he told me, and I was saying in my mind, I want to do what he do one day. Look, a little bit over 2 years, 3 years afterward, 4 years in February coming up for alcoholic of my type, 4 years sobriety. So I said, I want to do what this man do. So he taught me. He took me through I got a sponsor, right? My sponsor 12-stepped me through it. But Tony make phone calls. I call him. He'll send me things that he done pointed out, and he shared them with me. That helped me to experience the promises that this program has to offer. Now, on page 25, here's another promise I'd like to share. We have found much of heaven, and we have been rocketed into a fourth dimension of existence, which we had not even dreamed. You know, this is talking about a fourth dimension. Wow. We never do. We can experience this thing. And that dimension they talking about is a spiritual dimension, something we had never even dreamed of. When people first talk to us about the program is spiritual, it's not religious and all of this and all of that. So we automatically think about, well, I'm going to reject this spiritual stuff. I don't want to deal with this spiritual stuff. I can still be my own solution. So, wow. But this book promises we be rocketed into that new dimension. And life has been beautiful ever since I experienced coming into this new dimension, but finding the power that's greater than me and following the simple rules of this program. Now, the central fact, Brother Dan, I want to go with the central fact. Read that little short paragraph.
Sorry, I was...
On page 25, the central fact of our lives today.
How far are we down, mate? Sorry, I was in the middle of...
Okay, I was in the middle of something. Okay, no problem. I get it. Okay, the middle of the page here on page 25, Peach. The great fact is just this and nothing less. Here comes the promise. That we have had deep and effective spiritual experiences which have revolutionized our whole attitude toward life. toward our fellows, and toward God's universe. This spiritual experience, that's the solution for us alcoholics. That's the solution that they presenting to us. See, they present us a recipe. So we follow this recipe. Like when we bake a cake, right? We want to put all ingredients in it, right? Because if we don't, the cake might just go flat, or it might not taste the same, or it might look like instead of being a cake, it might look like one of them donut holes that we get. It might look like that. So we follow this recipe in this big book. We can experience this spiritual experience that they are talking about. The spiritual experience is in full detail on page 567 and 568 of our very big book, this volume right here. But it has revolutionized our whole attitude toward life. See, we have a new way of life today toward our fellows. We treat our fellows differently today. When it says towards God universe, well, God created the universe. That's the God I serve. I don't push the issue again on the God that I serve. That's simply the God I believe in. That's the God who saw my alcohol problem. He took it away from it, and he gave me a new way of life. The big book says, to some extent, we were reborn, right? This God simply regenerated my mind to fit in with how he thinks. And it was through this program that I had these experiences that I had. And it's a beautiful thing. So, matter of fact, another thing on page 25, here's another promise I want to share. He has commenced to accomplish those things for us which we could never do by ourselves. We talking about God, or that power greater than ourselves. See, the main purpose of this book is to enable us to find a power greater than ourselves, which will solve our problem. One of the three pertinent ideas, right? That God could and would if he was solved. There's another promise. Wow. So that's what we do. We go through the steps, and it creates this beautiful change. Makes us totally different people. This program gives us a design for living, and it works in all goings, in all areas of life. It works. So another thing here on page 28. Yeah, you turn your books to page 28. Top of the page. Matter of fact, the first full paragraph, the second paragraph, as a matter of fact.
What do you think?
Okay. Yeah, we in turn, where it reads, we in turn.
Yeah, we in our turn. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Page 28, everybody. We in our turn sought the same escape with all the desperation of drowning men. What seemed at first a flimsy reed has proved to be the loving and powerful hand of God. A new life has been given us, or if you prefer, a design for living that really works.
Okay, right there, my brother.
Cool.
Great job. Appreciate it. Okay, here's the promise. Has proved to be the loving and powerful hand of God. A new life has been given us, if you prefer, a design for living that really works. And this big book talks about this design for living on several other pages. We'll talk about it on page 15, page 81, and there's several other pages that reflects on this. I'm gonna get to some of them too in a minute. And then it goes on page 29. If we go to the next page, Brother Dan, where it says further on, clear-cut directions are given. I got this part.
You sure?
Yeah. Page 29, peeps. I got this all highlighted. Well, I got everything highlighted in my big book. It says further on, clear-cut directions are given, showing how we recover. These are followed by 42 personal experiences, right? So we had this experience, right? We came to believe. Step 2, in a power greater than ourselves that could restore us to sanity. After the step 9 promises, right? Matter of fact, on page 84, I think it is, it said by now, sanity will have returned. There's another promise. So many promises in this book. So this week I'm gonna talk about it. Then next week I have to do another hour on them because I can't cover all of them today. Because I have to elaborate. I have to incorporate these things to make sure we all get the point. So it's beautiful. Now on page 60, I'm gonna fast forward to page 60, brother. And it says, as a matter of fact, step 12, that's what it is. Page 60. It gives us read the step 12, brother Dan, if you got it a minute. If
Page
not,
60.
Yeah, page 60.
Being convinced we're at step 3.
No, I come up to having had a spiritual awakening.
Ah, yes, beg your pardon. Right at the top,
Yes.
everybody, page 60. Having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs.
Amen, brother. Here is the promise. Having had a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps. That's a huge promise. Spiritual awakening, spiritual experience, psychic change, personality change, a revolutionary change. All of these are promises. We had an experience by taking the step. Step 2, once again, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Confirmation of step 2 is step 12. We take the steps, we had this spiritual experience, and it's a result from taking these steps. So we try to carry this message. This is the message of Alcoholics Anonymous, and to practice these principles in all our affairs, not just sometimes, but it says in all our affairs. See, if we take the steps, we have a new creator, right? I mean, we got a new boss, in other words. We no longer running the show ourselves. So, it's a beautiful experience. I've had this experience because I was taken through the steps precisely, exactly as it was laid out in the big book. Yes, I've had all these experiences, and I experienced the promises as well. But like I say, other people were seeing this in me before I even had an idea. But it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful process. I'm no longer at conflict with God. I'm no longer in conflict with myself. I'm no longer in conflict with other people. But I'm not perfect. Sure, life is great. I'm happy. We can be happy, joyous, and free. But life gonna try to shoot us some curveballs and all this stuff. But we got a way out now. We ain't got to argue with nobody. We don't have to hold resentments with nobody. We just simply, if we do somebody wrong, we simply apologize, make amends, we move on, or we talk to another alcoholic. That's the best solution, and it's a promise, because nothing shared with so much show immunity from drinking as intensely work with other alcoholics. That's another promise. It's on page 89. So I want to go back to Bill's story now here on page 8. This is some promise. This is a couple of promises here in Bill's story that I would definitely love to share. On page 8, let me see. Bill said, I will soon. Let me find it. Okay. Anyway, I read this on. It says, I was soon to be catapulted into what I like to call the fourth dimension of existence. I was to know happiness, peace, and usefulness in a way of life that is incredibly more wonderful as time passes. This is the experience Bill Wilson had, right? He talks about peace, happiness. He talks about usefulness. He talks about a way of life that is indescribably more wonderful as time passes. Another promise in the big book, and this must continue for a lifetime, right? So we practice these principles in all our affairs, and we continue to see that life gets more wonderful as time passes. Now, we all have to thank God for this. Page 11. Matter of fact, Brother Dan, page 11, where it says, but my friend sat before me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's third paragraph down, guys. Bill's story, page 11. But my friend sat before me, and he made the point-blank declaration that God had done for him what he could not do for himself. His human will had failed. Doctors had pronounced him incurable. Society was about to lock him up. Like myself, he had admitted complete defeat. Then he had, in effect, been raised from the dead, suddenly taken from the scrap heap to a level of life better than the best he had ever known.
Okay, right there, Brother Dan.
Cool.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now,
Thank you.
when you first started this reading, it says, but my friend sat before me and made the point blank declaration that here's the promise. God had done for him what he could not do for himself. Notice he said, God had done for him what he could not do for myself. You know, when I was playing God, right, I said, shoot, I can solve my own alcohol problem. All I got to do is just stop. Oh, I could stop when I pass out. But Lord knows, as soon as I wake up, I'm going to get that bottle. I had no defense against it. No, when I was playing God, I didn't think I need no defense against no first drink because I thought I could just stop and stay stopped, but I never could. Every time I tried, there was another relapse, and I still thought I had control of the situation, but in reality, I was totally out of control. No way out. No way out but another drink, another debacle, another spree, and everybody's life was in pretty much danger when I was around. So, you know, I try to be a nice guy, but that alcohol just changed every darn thing within me. So, but then in effect, back to the paragraph, then he had in effect been raised from the dead. He's raised from the dead by taking the spiritual program of action. We human beings, we have a spiritual malady. The spiritual malady is not a symptom of alcoholism. It's part of the human condition. Like I shared at the beginning, I had human problems before I ever took a drink. I was not alcoholic before I took a drink. To become alcoholic, you must drink. Some people say, I was born with alcoholism. Was you drinking in the womb? Or was you drinking before you was conceived? The only way you can become an alcoholic, you got to put in. Your body has to develop an allergy. We're not born with an allergy to alcoholism as a newborn baby. That is a lie from the fellowship, and it's a bunch of crap that need to throw it out. No. I see people sharing this all the time. Yeah, I was an alcoholic when I was born. See, you came out, need some titty milk or you needed a bottle. You wasn't drinking alcohol when you came out the womb. No, sir. So how you gonna be alcoholic if you ain't never took a drink? Newborn babies don't drink. You know, women may drink, but that don't make the baby alcoholic, right? No, we have to put it in. So, raised from the dead, so they're taken from the scrap heap. Now, here's the promise at the end of this sentence: to a level of life better than the best he had ever known. Well, that's a real promise. I mean, all of them are real, but to a level of life better than the best he had ever known. You know, in my personal experience, my military days were some of the greatest days of my life. As I look back, I was alcoholic then, right? But those are some good days. I traveled the world, and I've been in many, many different countries around this world. I was able to take my family in many of these different places, and I was gung-ho. It was amazing to get on a plane today and I'd be on the other side of the world in about 10, 12, 15, 16 hours to experience what I've seen. But then everywhere I went, that darn alcohol, my alcoholism was with my butt. So the place got blurred and I was ready to go back. So, but today, since taking these steps, life is so beautiful. Yes. We all gonna have problems. We all gonna have defects the rest of our lives. We're gonna have shortcomings the rest of our lives because we are human beings. But we got a way to deal with them today, right? Practicing these principles in all our affairs. Step 11. I love to stress about step 11. I think y'all know that. But as we go through the day, we pause. When agitated or doubtful, we ask God to just remove these things from me. If I'm feeling low or I ain't feeling happy, I have to test my spirit myself. Well, God, I talk to God. What's wrong with me? Can you reveal what's going on with inside me? Some days I don't like to talk on the telephone. I mean, I won't even answer it some days, right? Nothing be going. Something may be going on, but God is trying to tell me something deep within my spirit that, well, Kim, you need to focus on this. You need to focus on that. And then when that time passes, then I'm ready to talk. But we have to have time with our Creator. That's the bottom line. So anyway, here we go. Page 12. Brother Dan, here's another beautiful promise that I like to share, where it says, "Thus I was convinced." The bottom paragraph.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, bottom of page 12-ish at the moment. Thus was I convinced that God is concerned with us humans when we want him enough. At long last I saw, I felt, I believed. Scales of pride and prejudice fell from my eyes. A new world came into view.
Okay, right there. Thank you, Brother Dan. Notice, here's the promise I want to relate. A new world came into view. That's a promise, right? Today we can look at life in a whole different, we have a whole different experience in life today. The things that used to baffle us, we no longer baffle with these things today. See, in my drinking careers, in all our drinking careers, we were baffled by alcoholism. We had the utter inability to leave it alone, right? So now, since we take the steps and we recover from alcoholism, we can achieve this new way of living. The whole world looks different from my perspective today than it did when I was in my drinking for 40-some years. I walked around with what you call tunnel vision, right? I could only see what was in front of me. I didn't never pay attention to what was on the side or what was behind me. Shoot, I couldn't even see to the side. I'd be just, baffled with alcoholism. I couldn't see left, I couldn't see right. I was only looking ahead to that next darn drink. And I was going to run over anybody when I could get it. That's just it's my experience. So here again, on page 13, Brother Dan, it says, "My friend promised when these things were done." Bottom of the paragraph.
Bottom, last paragraph, guys, on the page 13.
Yeah.
My friend promised when these things were done, I would enter upon a new relationship with my Creator, that I would have the elements of a way of living which answered all my problems.
Okay, there we go. Oh yeah, stop right there for 1 minute. This thought is on my mind. Now here's the promise in this very sentence. I would enter upon a new relationship with my Creator. See, that's what this program does. It enables us to enter into a relationship with my Creator, right? But that's fine for any of us who believe. Now, to come to the atheist and the agnostic, I don't knock none of these people. I try to help them, and I will help them. They don't have to believe in the Creator that I believe in. They believe in what they want to believe, but if it's living alive and keeping them sober, more power to you. I'm going to support you regardless. I just happen to be a true believer. So that's the bottom line. And it says that I will have the elements of a way of living which answer all my problems. This is the rest of that promise. The way of living which answered all my problems. It answers all our problems, right? That's a promise we experience. And through our personal lives today, when we can see that we no longer baffled by alcoholism, wow, the problem has been removed. Sooner or later, stuff, it don't cross your mind that often, right? I mean, sure, somebody like me, I drank for 42 years of my life, and I'm a young man still, right? But when I first got sober, I said these are crazy thoughts, crazy dreams. It might be nice to take a drink today, right? But then I had to ask God to remove that stupid thought, because he knew it's stupid. I knew it was stupid, so don't dwell on this stuff. Nowadays, I can go anywhere in the world, And that's a promise this book gonna bring out later on. We can go anywhere in the world today, right? I don't care. The people can do whatever they want to do. That's their lives. I'm never try to be the dictator of nobody life. But people around me, let me share this with you. My kin folks drink. My brother drinks. Hell, I buy alcohol for them. And they be amazed. Well, how can you be around me and I'm drinking? Well, my wife take a drink sometimes. She live here. My daughter take a drink sometimes. She live here. That stuff don't bother me today because of what this program has did for me. It led me into a relationship with God. And that's the promise that this book holds out. And it answers all my problems. I'm no longer baffled about what other people do. But if they can drink and have fun, no problem. But somebody may come visit. If they drink and get out of line, I'm simply going to get their butt sent home. I get somebody to take them home and get them away from me because all black foolishness today. But then, back to the book. Page 14, Brother Dan. These were revolutionary. First full paragraph.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Page 14.
Yeah.
These were revolutionary and drastic proposals, but the moment I fully accepted them, the effect was electric. There was a sense of victory followed by such a peace and serenity as I had never known.
Okay, right there. There's the promise.
Mm-hmm.
The moment I fully accepted them, accepting these drastic proposals, right? So I'm gonna back up the bottom of page 13. We just talked about my friend promised when these things were done, right? So it says belief in the power of God, plus enough willingness, honesty, and humility to establish and maintain the new order of things were the essential requirements. Humility, it takes a lot of humility. But then I think I got a poster behind me that says simple but not easy. A price had to be paid. It meant destruction of self-centeredness. I must turn in all things to the Father of light, who presides over us all. Yeah, simple but not easy. It's a design for living that works in rough going. That's on page 15. No doubt about it. In the middle of the page, as a matter of fact, that's a promise. It's a design for living that works in tough going. It even works in the family. It even works on your job. It works everywhere you go. Page 28 here, and then page 81 relates to the same problem about this design for living. So I'm gonna share this on page 15 as well. I get this, Brother Dan, because it's got some promises. I want everybody to highlight if they would like to. So it goes on to relate. We commence. It's the bottom of the last big paragraph on page 15. It starts roughly around the middle, where it says, we commence to make many fast friends, and a fellowship has grown up among us, of which is a wonderful thing to feel a part. No doubt about it. Let me stop right there for a minute. Since the beginning of COVID, right back in 2020, I found the Keystone Group, right? Because I had been praying to God. God, help me find a program that'll solve my problem. He knew I've been drinking for 42 years. I tried to fix myself, but fixing myself didn't work because a sick mind cannot fix a sick mind. So I lived in the step one promise all them years, relapse again. But then he sent me to, I was directed, AA. I need to go to AA. Shoot, I'm an alcoholic. I ain't no drug addict. But even though I used to do drugs, but I'm not a drug addict. Alcohol was my first problem. Alcohol had been my problem. Alcohol that became my master. So shortly after the pandemic started, that's where I came in the Keystone Group. And I loved it ever since. They took me through the program of action and it solved my alcohol problem by following the simple rules laid out in this book. So here's the promise here on this very page. It says the joy of living we really have, even under pressure and difficulty. This is still right here on bottom of page 15. I'm still on page 15. That's the promise. And then it says, I have seen hundreds of families. Here's the promise of this: set their feet in the path that really goes somewhere. Have seen the most impossible domestic situations righted, feuds of bitterness of all sorts wiped out. I have seen men come out of asylums and receive a vital place in the lives of their families and communities. Business and professional men have regained their standing. These are all promises. There is scarcely any form of trouble and misery which has not been overcome by us. No doubt. They had the experience. So we can have the same experience they have. Thoroughly following the path that they laid out. You know, the big book says in how it works, rarely have we seen the person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. And the path that they teach us to learn, we can experience all these promises, man. For instance, I'm going to back up. It says, there is scarcely any form of trouble and misery which has not been overcome by us. 100 of them had these experiences. They're telling you they overcame them. They can live lives today. They can do. They have a vital place in the lives of their families and communities. I had this experience. Shoot, alcohol and stuff took me away from my family for a great many years. But you know, God did for me what I couldn't do for myself. He restored me back to my family 3 years ago, and I'm a useful part in the community today. Do work. I do stuff with the community. Do stuff with my family. That stuff. I ran away from all this stuff. Shoot, y'all were gonna take up my drinking time. I got to go. You know what I'm saying? And I left. But they all accepted me back after years of, you know, I done tore down all the structures, right? So it's a beautiful thing to experience these promises. Then again, here on bottom of page 15, it says, there is, however, a vast amount of fun about it all, no doubt. I had the greatest time of my life, people. This is fun, what I do every day, living this way of life, that taking these steps through AA, it led me up to a power. That power is God for me. Man, life is so beautiful. I enjoy it. I ain't been to an Alabama game in a while, but next time I go, I am sober. The last one I went to, I was sober due to results of this program. So I really love it now. And I love it every day. I love this life. And then I'm going to share one more promise with you. Then I close my mouth, shut my mouth, and I'll let y'all go because it's 2:59. So here on page 16, this will be the last part. Matter of fact, it's the last sentence on page 16. I mean, the last paragraph, a little short paragraph.
Most of us.
Yeah, most of us right there. And this is the promise, Brother Dad. You can read that one, no doubt. This is the promise.
Cool.
Yeah, the first two sentences is the promise.
Most of us feel we need look no further for utopia. We have it with us right here and now. Boom.
Right here and now. We need look no further. We got it. We had this experience. 12 steps produces that psychic change and spiritual experience sufficient enough for us to recover from alcoholism. So I thank everybody for being here today. God bless your Sunday. And I thank all you for being here. Y'all are a vital part